YouTube, how the duck you doing? Duckfilms here, and today I have a new Deadlock tier list. This tier list was recorded on the 23rd of May, so this is with the new earn changes and of course the new patch. And if you're wondering why I should be listening to this random duck on the internet, well, I'm a former Marvel Rivals analyst and coach that's turned to Deadlock that does a ton of analyst work in theory crafting. So I might provide some insightful or useful insight. So definitely consider liking the video and subscribing to check out some content. But anyways, onto the video. So this tier list is a little bit interesting because of the earn changes. Traditionally, for this game, you would build a team composition, or you would think about characters that can scale really well into the late game for your M1s, that can do really good in team fights and so on. But now you're playing for earns a lot more because it's fighting in the center of the map, which I think is pretty cool because it's incentivizing more fights. But it's also kind of flawed of just how the mechanic works. For example, a character like Calvin, who got a significant nerf this recent patch, make sure to check out the patch video, he got a pretty big nerf. However, he can now dome the earn area and you guys can just completely win an earn fight because nobody can contest you. So there's certain stipulations that allow certain characters that are often weak to be even stronger because of somehow these changes work. And if your team is consistently capturing the earn, you guys are getting a massive soul lead. And despite which character you're playing, if you have a massive soul lead, those characters just can completely take over fights. That's why this tier list is going to be a little bit wacky. So let's go ahead and get started with our Deadlock tier list. We're going to begin with Abrams. Now the thing about Abrams is that they actually did some really nice changes to this character. So Infernal Resilience and Seismic Impact from a stun duration 0.7 to 0.8 and unstopped duration of 5 to 6. For tier 1, you can now get 200 max health, and at tier 2, you actually get 18% melee lifesteal and 40% effectiveness against non-heroes. Now, I actually like this change, and I think it brings Abrams up from like B tier, probably to A tier. I think it's really good, especially in the middle where Earn is fighting now, like all the time, every 5 minutes or whatever the case may be. I feel like this character is definitely getting a ton of benefit from this, from the Earn change, because this character is going to be played so often and can do so much in a big team fight. The only issue is that like now pretty much everybody is buying Rebuttal. Yes, Rebuttal did get slightly nerfed. However, I think overall, like this is just making Abrams completely goated. I wouldn't necessarily put him S tier, but probably A tier, like definitely high A. A super high priority pick in my eyes. Moving on to Apollo. Apollo got some pretty crazy changes. They improved the hero's hitbox, so he's easier to hit. Base regen was reduced. Riposte no longer automatically dashes. You have to like cast it onto a person with a 25-meter range. Flawless advanced hitbox reduced by 10. No longer triggers off objective damage for Apollo. So they nerfed essentially riposte. But they did not nerf the amount of lane pressure this character has. They did not nerf the amount of damage he does with his ultimate and his like execution ultimate essentially. Overall, I think this character, for the most part, still remains a super high priority pick. Maybe not necessarily S tier like we're used to seeing, but definitely on the boundary of A to S. Whether this is perfectly warranted is completely optional, but I think it still sits around the A tier probably. S tier characters are like essentially best in slot characters that are getting a ton of value. I think this character is still a high priority pick, but maybe not necessarily the best overall. He's still a early stage snowball-esque character that can definitely just bully players if you know how to actually hit your abilities now. So overall, it's a solid change. I think it was a change that was super warranted, but definitely still a super strong character regardless. Moving on to Bebop. Now, I think Bebop is still fine. For Bebop, they reduced the boon per, bullet damage per boon from 1.39 to 0.15. Uppercut, weapon damage reduced from 40 to 30, and the tier 2 increased from 75 damage to 85. Now, Gun Bebop isn't necessarily dead. I played against a couple of Gun Bebops. They're still perfectly fine. I played against some Spirit Bebops. Definitely a lot better. Not significantly better than what it used to be back in, the heyday. But I think the changes were warranted. The character needed to be some fine-tuning, one might say. But overall, I don't think this really changes anything to the character per se. I still think the character is very, very good regardless. Whether that's, I mean, again, this this is a tier list video, so it's completely optional and up for debate. You know, everybody likes to have their own comments, which is perfectly fun. I love and encourage discussion, but I don't think Bebop is as good as he once was. So probably still sitting at the A tier, not necessarily S like he was previously. So definitely A tier. And you also have to think about fighting in the mid with the urn. He can get a one-off, you know, nice pick. His ultimate is pretty good for, you know, isolating and is forcing people out of the fights, especially if you're building Spirit now. I think if you do Spirit Lightning Scroll, this is really good for the urn fight, because now you just have to think about the urn fight in the middle. Not necessarily like winning your lane or anything. If you can fight urn and, you know, actively win the lane, or actively win the mid fight for urn, it's perfectly fine. So probably A on. So for Billy got some love. Billy got a lot of love actually. We'll go to Billy. Oh, that's the wrong patch notes. Billy, I keep clicking off of it. Health boon increased, so he's more tanky, but the bullet damage per boon was decreased. The Rising Ram cooldown was increased. Rising Ram increased from 0.3 seconds to 0.4 duration, which is nice. And Rising Ram tier 3 increased from -10 to -13, which is also nice. I think this character is very good now, especially with Weakening Headshot being so strong now. If we go up, because it procs on camps or neutrals. It doesn't proc on guardians or walkers or whatever, but it procs on the neutral camps, so you can farm a lot easier on Billy, and you can farm a lot easier on a lot of characters. So I think this character becomes very, very strong. I think previously in one of my past tier list videos, he's like around C, D tier, or maybe even B. I think he's sitting more A, S, because again, this character has a really good team fight ultimate now, and I think he's just solid. Yeah. It's fine. Calico, I still don't think this character is good. I think she still needs a lot more love. I guess this is emphasizing more team fights, but the issue with this, like, her ultimate's not really good team fight. Like, it's decent. She doesn't do a lot of spirit damage, like burst. I just don't think this character is really good anymore. I think she needs a little bit more or buffs to really like make her playable in a really good state, because you have to think about like the advantage of having Calico is roaming and getting picks. But when now the game is all centered around fighting in the middle of the map in a big team fight, Calico kind of struggles to find her place, especially if she's fighting against, you know, a lot of the big team fight oriented characters like Lash, Dynamo, Bebop, Billy, Sinclair, and so on. So I think this character kind of falls down because she doesn't have that same value. So probably sitting around D. Moving on to Celeste. So Celeste got some interesting changes. They improved the hero's hitbox, just like Apollo. Stamina cooldown increased from 4.5 to 5. Radiant daggers changed from -18 seconds and 70 damage to -22 plus 80 damage, so you get 10 more damage. And Shining Wonder tier 2 increase from +50 +70. And I think this character is really good now. And I think the character is even stronger than what she previously was, especially because, again, we're fighting in the middle of the map on a super small area. You have to sit in the king of the hill, and if this character has a ball that bounces between players and everybody's in the middle of the map, well, then it's probably going to be S tier, because this is just crazy. I think just building the character spirit ult build, and it's perfectly fine. Then Doorman. Doorman also got some interesting changes. The radius was reduced, radius increase at tier 3, explosion damage spirit scaling at 1.4 to 1.3, so a nerf. Also a nerf that like you can't instantly close the door, but that doesn't really take away from the fact that he could still close the door and kidnap you. You just have to be a little bit smarter of how you place the door and where you push people into. I think the character, like, it definitely isn't like necessarily like S tier anymore. It might get knocked down. You also have to think about like the middle team fight. If he's throwing bells in the middle of a small area, again, we're talking middle of the map at the bridge. If we're talking about that, then it's like he's still really good in my eyes. I don't think the issue is that this character just excels in a lot of different areas. So it's hard to like pass this character up on S in my eyes. So moving on to Drifter, Ren tier 3 no longer increases scaling by 0.4, and Ren's tier 3 now also deals heavy damage with a 0.55. I've been running into a lot of Drifters, and Drifter is really good now, I think. Not necessarily super good, but I think really good. Especially in like that team fight, if you're sitting in the middle, just having that idea of nearsighting people is really strong in my eyes. I think this character is probably A. There's going to be a lot of A characters because of just how this game is now. So probably A. I think the melee tier 3 is really nice because now you build like Spirit Snatch and other items. This character becomes a lot better. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. I accidentally screenshot it. Dynamo, S tier. Because in my eyes, he's S tier because you have the urn area. So like, say this is the urn or whatever. Like, woo, you're fighting in this super small area. All you have to do is Dynamo ult, and you have the urn. So this is just like basically what this game is now is like who has the better team composition for a mid fight. That's literally it. There's not really any emphasis on solo fights anywhere around the map. As long as you can win urn, like you can easily win the game because you just snowball the urn into better items and so on. So this character is this S tier. The same thing with Graves. When you look at Graves, she got a ton of changes. Things like sprint speed, grasping hands. Now when she uses her grasping hands, so her 2 ability, the line, it spawns in a ghoul and you just nuke people that you stun. So I think this character becomes very good. Also, if you place her ultimate like on top of the urn depot, if you just place your urn on top of the urn depot, you just rebuttal on top of it. You just buy rebuttal. Because people are going to be meleeing anyways. You have this plus rebuttal, plus you have the urn. It's like game over if you're playing Graves. Like, it's so good now. I think the new system is cool, but it's a little bit flawed because they haven't really like considered the ideas of a lot of different things. So I think this character is like S or A, maybe A, probably. This is my eyes. Could be like high A. I usually don't do left to right, but I'll probably do left to right here. So probably like high A, kind of maybe even better than Abrams, but I don't know. Probably there is probably good. So Great Talon got a lot of changes. Basically, gun Talon is very good again. Rain of Arrows cooldown reduced from 30 to 20. Rain of Arrows cast delay reduced from 0.5 to 0.2. Rain of Arrows duration reduced from 7 to 4, but he gets it back up so quickly. You have a ton of movement in air again. So instead of being -9 in air, you get +25, so you really just slip around. But the Rain of Arrows weapon damage bonus was reduced from 4 to 3. However, they didn't overall change like the default weapon or the default arrow damage of this character. So, like, building him Spirit is still really good, and building him Gun is still pretty good, actually, probably better than it was before, basically because of the Rain of Arrows change, in my eyes. I think this character's like, B, probably. Seems about right. Moving on to Haze. She got Fixation Tier 3 increase. I've seen a lot of Haze players in my recent games. Sometimes the character's good, sometimes the character's bad. It's really just dependent on who's playing the character. I think she's C, maybe B. The health being changed at the beginning is kind of decent for her because she can get away with some things, but it's just like, why would I have this Haze? I mean, her ult's, I guess, decent for a mid fight, but the issue is that you have like so many better characters in her archetype that would just be better suited. Like Infernus, what else is there? I guess Warden, kind of Venator. I don't know. But yeah, maybe B. I'll leave her there for now. So Holiday, her base bullet damage was increased from 18.8 to 19.7, which is a pretty significant change. Health regen increased from 1 to 2, which is also really good. I think this character is very good now, but I think people are still struggle to know how good they are. I think this character is like B because of how much damage she does. But you still have the same exact issues of certain characters being able to just make her ult obsolete. But I think having the barrels in that small AoE, like this, the urn fight, is really good. Because you just spam the barrels. Okay, Infernus. Infernus also got a change. The bullet size increase, so you can proc Afterburn a lot faster now, or more consistently and faster. Then Concussive Combustion Tier 3 increased from 0.75 to a 0.9 stun, which is pretty significant in my eyes. I think this character, maybe instead of B, put him A and build him gun hybrid. But I still think he's decently balanced. I think there's a lot of ways to shut the character down. You have things like disarm, dispel, counterspell, indomitable, curse. You have all the items to shut this character down. So I still think he's decently balanced, especially when people are just going to be building him gun now, and it's essentially like an aim check. Can you aim with Infernus? If you can, he's a lot better. If you can't, then he's not as good. And for the most part in this tier list, like a lot of these characters, like all these characters can easily carry games, but I just don't think like they're as good as certain others. You just need to get ahead. So Ivy didn't get any changes, but I still think she's decently, okay. I would say she probably leans more onto like the balance side of the game, I would say. So probably like in the middle. So Kelvin, this is an interesting take for me at least. And that's mainly due to the fact that he got nerfed, right? The spirit scaling was reduced and everything. But the issue is how they made urn. Kelvin can this dome on top of the urn. You can't melee the urn in the dome, right? But the thing is, you still capture the urn. So it's like a flawed system. Like time still goes on inside of the dome. You just can't melee it. It still does the frozen effect like it does in with like the urn before. But now like it's just a guaranteed urn. So I think this character, despite getting nerfed quite heavily in my eyes, like quite a lot, like beam DPS scaling reduced, grenade damage scaling reduced, I think this character is very far up because of how the game is currently played right now. Again, this was recorded on the 5th or the 23rd of May, and it's all about this new urn. And with that being said, I think this character excels now. Geist didn't get any changes, but I think this character is going to struggle just like what it did before, and I think we're going to like a balanced area in my eyes. McGinnis got some changes. Bullet damage per boon increased. Heavy Barrage not triggering Divine's Kevlar, so you can buy Divine again. Medical Spectre radius increased from 5.5 to 6. So McGinnis is good. She has a really good ultimate for the urn fight if you're not playing against a Kelvin. She can wall off the urn to block people to go around the wall, essentially. So it's essentially you have the urn. You have the urn, right? And now you just like put a wall here. And people have to like go around the extremities to go and capture it. So it just allows the urn to get safe passage and safe capture, just like Kelvin. The same thought process, right? So I think with that being said, I think this character like sits between BA, probably. Lash got some changes. Bullet damage per boon. Ground strike per meter scaling increase. Tier 3 now also grants +1 charge. It no longer stacks with itself, but instead refreshes the duration, which I don't think is that big of a change. And I don't think the gun change is that massive. I think this character can be built both spirit and gun now, and still be perfectly fine. I think this character sits like high A. It's probably my eyes, which is fine. Mina got a lot of changes, especially with her ult. Tier 3 reduced from 1% current HP to 0.5. You just don't build her ult anymore. You build her just like gun, or just like a carry, essentially. And that's about it. I don't think the prio on this character is extremely high anymore. I think we're sitting like B, maybe A. I can lean on both sides. That's kind of what I'm thinking. Mirage didn't get any changes. I still think he's really good for like an M1 carry. It's probably one of the better M1 carries in the game right now because he didn't get affected by anything. So probably like A. Rowan Krill. Getting hit with a melee no longer knocks you up when you're burrowed, and tier 3 slam bus +1 to +1.5. So I think he's pretty good. I think he's like still balanced, or probably B tier still. Warden got some changes. Bullet damage per dune nerfed. Willpower debuff resistant arrow retroactively applies to existing debuffs when cast, so that's pretty cool. If you're afflicted or whatever the case may be, disarmed, it'll help you get the resist. Binding Ward tier 2 no longer increases cast range by 12 meters. I think this character, I don't think he's super good because again of like everything. Like I think you just put him like in the middle. Again, like the issue with this game right now is that the game is just fighting in the middle. All you're doing is fighting Urn, and that's it. So it's like the characters that don't have big AoE ultimates will struggle this patch until they change the Urn, like the identity of the Urn. Until they figure out what they want to do, characters that don't have a massive AoE damaging ult or some type of crowd control ult are not going to do anything. In my eyes. Like, that's the problem. But Paige got some changes. Tier 2 improved from 8 seconds to 12. Rallying Charge increased damage from 135 to 160, which is pretty big. And then I keep off clicking, my bad. Bookworm recharge timer. Wait, that's the old one. Oh my god, bro. L YouTuber. Rallying Charge now has half cooldown if hits no allies or enemies, which is pretty cool. I think this character is like B. Probably. Paradox. Paradox got insane buffs, by the way. Time Wall got buffed. Kinetic Carbine got buffed. Paradoxal Swap got buffed. Overall, really good buffs. This character, in my eyes, was probably sitting like, I guess, B tier? Maybe lower. But with all the changes, I think he just moves up to A. Probably. Probably. I do. Pocket. I still think Pocket's really good. He got some nerfs. Flying Cloak tier 2 weapon damage reduced from 8 to 6 seconds. And then affliction cooldown increased from 140 to 150. You're still picking this character for the AoE affliction. And I think in the mid fight with the Urn, still really good. Probably like A tier. Rem got Omega buffed, by the way. A ton of buffs. And I think this character is S tier. Like, I won't go through all of them, but like, tag along also burst heals allies to secondary allies you jump to. You can tag along through veils. Reduce the lockout period after ejecting, so you can like instantly parry when you come out of a teammate. Tag along time fly to your allies now 50% faster. Tag along lingering heal duration reduced from 3 to 2, but the balance, you just heal faster. Like, it's really good. All the changes, like, this is S in my eyes. And then 7 didn't get really too crazy of changes. They did the bullet damage growth reduced from 0.3 to 0.33, or 0.37 to 0.3, and then crit reduction increased from 35 to 55, which is pretty good. Again, he's a massive AoE ultimate, so this character is going to be a little bit better, but still probably in the middle. Shiv got nerfed, but it's Shiv. The nerf doesn't really matter because the character is still super strong. And I don't think this character will ever be in a balanced state, I think. Like, you could sit here and argue, like, if you're playing Shiv and you love Shiv, like, the character is still overpowered. And you can't deny that. Like, this character will always be super, super strong because of how bloodletting works and just how the kit works. And until that's changed, like, this character will never, like, be removed from a top spot. Like, probably, like, S tier still. Maybe A. Let's say that. Silver, like... the weird thing is, like, Silver kind of got, like, buffed. Which I don't really get. Like, yeah, like, this is all nerfed, but the Lycan Curse Fire Rate Spirit Scaling increased from 0.25 to 0.45, so she's just attacking faster in Lycan form. So, this is just, like, really bad. I don't like this. Like, overall, in my eyes, it's just a buff to her. To her entire kit. Like, I think she's still S tier. Probably. S tier. Now, Sinclair. So, the thing with Sinclair is that, like, he is very good now. Because, again, you're doing the earn thing. And if you're playing against a Dynamo, like, your stonks are up because characters like Dynamo, characters like Lash, Kelvin, Abrams, Bebop, Pocket, Paradox, Billy, your stocks, or even Celeste, your stocks are up because you copy. You can just copy the ultimate. So, and he has the bunny. Bunny in a mid fight is insane. So I think this change really benefits Sinclair because you're more likely to go against the characters you want to be playing against in matchmaking. But because I'm an Infernus, you can't just single prio Sinclair. You have to double prio people if you're playing solo. So it's a little bit more difficult. But I think the stocks on this character just dramatically increase. So I think like SA, like on the border essentially. Venator got buffed for some reason. I can find the change. Gut shot damage. Wait, no, this is the old one again. God, I'm such a chud. Health increased, and then his trap got like buffed. Basically, this character is just going to be shooting in the face like he's always done, but now he has more HP, so he lives longer. So this character just rises in stocks, probably like one of the best M1 carries in the game. Victor got gutted, kind of. It reduces bullet damage. Tier 3 spirit scaling was increased for his jumpstart. And Aura Suffering now deals 50% damage to objectives. So you kind of want to build him spirit now, more so than gun. You can still build him gun. Like 12 is still a pretty good number, and 2 plus 2.6. Or sorry, 0.26. Like he's still a decent gun. I don't think he's like Omega, like this character is cancer, like it's the end of the world. But I still think he's decent because he's still played at the super high levels, like in the tournaments. So I think we're probably sitting like low A, very low A. Then we go to Vindicta. Vindicta didn't receive any buffs or changes or anything. But the thing of affecting Vindicta is that a lot of her items she buys kind of got nerfed a little bit. Not a crazy amount, but just enough to where it's like, this character needs help. I still think she's pretty good. Like she can snipe low HP people on the middle urn, but like I still think she has the same issues that if you don't have a really good like AoE ultimate, it's just gonna be really rough for them to get a ton of value. Because like if you're playing against characters like Dynamo, like Celeste, like characters that have those AoE, or like Kelvin, Billy, these characters are gonna be buying knockdowns and whatever the case may be. So Vindicta is kind of like hurts this patch. So I think we go like C tier. For Viscous, what they did was Gooball lockup period. Wrong patch notes again. Viscous tier 1 Puddle Punch increased damage by plus 20. It no longer increases damage by 30. It also grants plus 40% lifesteal now, which is kind of crazy. So I think Viscous is pretty good now. I think having him in the middle is really good. As a support, he's built pretty good. I think like B. Maybe in between B, A. Kai B. Vyper, I think Vyper is S. I think she's the best M1 carry because all she did was get buffed. Because her tier 2 dagger bullet resist stack is from -5% to -6%, which is good. And then her tier 3 now also increases max stacks by 2, so it's pretty good. So I think probably like the best M1 carry in the game right now. For Wraith didn't get any changes. And I think having all the people grouped up in the center, you're building a Ricochet on Wraith, and also you're doing cards with AoE. I think the cards in that big AoE area is pretty good. And she's getting picked a lot in tournaments right now. So I think the stocks on this character are going up. So probably like A. Now Yamato, she got some insane buffs. Period slash time reduced from 0.4 to 0.2. The scaling was increased from 1.8 to 2.1, which is pretty big. Flying slash range increased from 25 meters to 30. Flying slash no longer grants plus 20 meter cast range, it grants plus 15. But because you have this 30 meter change in difference, it doesn't really matter. Because you'll get to the same range. Flying slash tier 3 increases charges from 1 to plus 2. And then Crimson Slash not being able to hit player if it's aimed too high or too low. Transformation tier 1 increase from plus 5 weapon damage to plus 7. So I think Yamato is very, very strong now. I think she's very good. But she's still in a situation to where like she has to be like ahead to get a lot of value. Whereas you could just have Silver do the same thing that Yamato does. But I think she's like sitting A in my eyes. She has really good teamfight potential. And because of her ultimate, she makes immune to CC. You can just smack the urn and get control of it. Because again, when I see this game right now, for again, 23rd of May, it's all about who wins the urn and who can snowball, right? If you can get the urn multiple times in a row, you just snowball. That's it. You're playing for a snowball. Whoever has the better ultimates will win the urn, and then you just get ahead, and then you win the game. So you're building for the urn in my eyes. That means, again, you're picking characters that have big AoE ults, that can do a lot of damage, that can stall out, and just, be annoying. So I think certain characters excels at certain different scenarios. And for my tier list, I usually don't do left to right, and I don't like putting a ton of characters in the S tier category. But I think when we're looking at this, from my perspective, this is kind of what I see of just what you want to be thinking about certain characters. I think Doorman is still good because he still does a ton of AoE damage. Dynamo for obvious reasons. Celeste for obvious reasons because everyone's right in the middle. Rem because he got an insane amount of buffs. Plus he just has a really good teamfight ultimate. Silver is always going to be super strong. Vyper, probably the best M1 carry right now because of all the buffs to the character. And because everybody got reduced HP. Base health reduced by 10 for all heroes, and health per boon reduced by 3. Her 2, Lethal Venom, is an execute if you do enough damage. So just understanding that allows Vyper to propel even further. Abrams got buffs. Certain items he uses got buffed. And you have to think about the teamfight potential in mid with the massive stun and everything like that. Gray's got a ton of buffs. Paulos, same case. He still has a really good AoE and a lot of damage. That's kind of the thought process behind my tier list. Like I said, you can let me know what you think in the comments down below. Of course, this will probably be changing within the next few days. Whenever this goes live, who knows? Maybe they do a lot of changes. Again, I recorded this on the 23rd of May, and I'll probably be posting it later in the week because I'll be out of town. I want to post it a little bit later. So it'll probably be a little bit different than what people might think. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm thinking in terms of some of the power ranking. Like I said, most characters can be played at pretty much any level. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments down below. I hope you have a great and safe day, and I'll catch you in the next one.